Hello, this is News Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio in Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, President Muhammadu Buhari endorses the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund. A new national dairy policy underway to increase local production in Nigeria. World Bank projects a 2.5% economic growth for Nigeria in 2022. Experts issues and the latest global economy faces a grim outlook. Glad to have you join us on Business Now. Here are some stories making headlines at this hour. I am Margaret Opara. We begin with the report a 2.5% economic growth for Nigeria in 2022 and a 2.8% in 2023. This 2022 forecast is a slight upward review from the estimated 2.4% growth in 2021. According to the bank, higher oil prices and activities in the service sectors such as telecommunications and financial services will drive this slightly upward growth. The Washington-based institution disclosed this in its latest Global Economic Prospects report released on Tuesday. The report added that the recovery from pandemic-induced income, employment losses, and inflation would be slow. We'll go on a short timeout. We'll be back for more stories. Glad to have you back. Now we start with the World Bank report, which projects a 2.5% economic growth for Nigeria in 2022 and a 2.8% in 2023. This 2022 forecast is a slight upward review from the estimated 2.4% growth in 2021. According to the World Bank, higher oil prices and activities in the service sector such as telecommunications and financial services will drive this slightly upward growth. The Washington-based institution disclosed this in its latest Global Economic Prospects report released on Tuesday. The report added that the recovery from pandemic-induced income, employment losses, and inflation would be slow. Moving on, President Muhammadu Buhari has okayed the establishment of the Nigerian Diasporan Investment Trust Fund (NDITF), a private sector investment window for Nigerians in the diaspora to support direct investment in the country. The President, who spoke at the State House in Abuja, pledged support for the establishment of the Diaspora Intervention Fund to support the Commission to fulfill its mandate. The President stressed that the foreign exchange remittances by Nigerians in the diaspora have not only helped families but enhanced the development index of Nigeria. He described the 327-page compendium published by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission as a historical record of the worth of compatriots globally. The federal government says a new national dairy policy is underway to cut importations of related products, increase local production, and enhance marketing in the country. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Ernest Umake, disclosed this at a workshop on the national dairy policy in Abuja. He said such policy development often required a series of steps to achieve the desired results, as well as satisfy the aspirations of all critical stakeholders that would directly and indirectly be affected by its operation. He said the government had carefully followed all the preliminary steps towards producing a new dairy policy, leading to the validation of the draft policy document. Umake pointed out that there had been continuous drive towards meeting national sufficiency in dairy production to reduce the huge amount spent on importation of dairy products, as well as bridge a huge gap between supply and demand. Oil prices jumped more than 3% on Tuesday, consistently defying predictions of a surplus supply amid 3,000 barrels per day each month. The federal government has also commenced the final process of redeeming the 1.3 billion naira outstanding allowance to 9,066 N-Power batches A and B volunteers. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Bashir Nura Alkali, said the payment covered the 5-month arrears to the volunteers. He noted the payment of the remaining 4,955 was withheld pending conclusion of further investigation for having multiple accounts and receiving other payments such as salaries and allowances from multiple federal government ministries, departments and agencies, or permanent employment amounting to gross misconduct and corruption in apparent violation of the regulations guiding the N-Power volunteer. And more stories, the Federal Republic of Nigeria has pledged to pay the full capacity arrears of $28.7 million shelter in Africa. Nigerian Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed disclosed this at a meeting with Shelter Africa Group Managing Director and CEO Anto Chimpoda in Abuja. The minister further disclosed that the payment will be made in 4 installments starting from January 2022. In September 2020, the Pan-African Housing Development Financier received $9.4 million from Nigeria. The contribution moved Nigeria to become the second largest shareholder in the organization with 13.27% of the shareholding, behind Kenya with 17.78% and ahead of the AFDP at 12.83%. The Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, FAO, has reported that world food prices fell slightly as international prices for vegetable oils and sugar fell significantly from lofty levels. The FAO Food Price Index averaged 133.7 points in December and a 0.9% decline from November, but still 23.1% from December 2020. As this really plays out in the global scene, there are concerns about the impact of these developments on food prices in Nigeria and how Nigerians are also coping with this scenario. Now, joining us to make sense of this development is iBrandTV business correspondent Frank Omalape. Glad to have you join us, Frank.
It's good to be here, Margaret.
All right. Now, food prices declined last year, December. There's been a report, of course, but it's yet to reflect on the prices of consumer goods locally. So now this brings me to the question: what's the major indicator that affects food, the price of food? They're talking about demand and supply.
Well, basically what this means is that on the international scene, the prices of commodities have declined gradually, but in just major on two products, two commodities. That's the sugar and vegetable oils. And when you look at that, the report, you know, according to the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, which tracks the prices of commodities on a monthly basis, because those commodities are traded on an international basis, in international market. So they are tracking some of these commodities internationally and comparing their prices between one commodity index and the other. For instance, the dairy, between the prices of the dairy index, the cereal index is also there, and then of course you have other index as well. But basically, I think their report is just tracking the fact that the prices of vegetable oils and sugar, you know, have dropped gradually. But when it comes to other, food index, it has not really reflected. So talking about indicators, for us in Nigeria, the reason why we have not seen this reflecting, two reasons. One, we're not producing much as we ought to produce. If you look at last year, all the period of famine and all of that, the security issues wouldn't allow farmers to stay. And you remember the headers, farmer clashes, which has been reoccurring every now and then. And so the issue of security is one thing. And the fact that we've not been able to produce for our own daily consumption. So you have a lot of money chasing few commodities like beans. For us here, we consume basically rice. You talk about beans. You talk about yam, staple foods, and all of that. And so basically, those are the two reasons why you see that the prices of food items keep going up as well.
But you talked about insecurity. Of course, they have the land, the farmer-header clash. We know Benue State is the food basket of the nation, talking about Nigeria. So you're seeing this as a major factor, if I'm correct by what you just said, all right?
Yes. And when you look at it, it's a major factor. But let's not forget again, let's go back to the basis. The fact is that we've not been able to improve on our supply chain. And when you look at the supply chain, you're looking at the process between the production, the process that involves the production process and the distribution process. So when you talk about the production process and the distribution, there's a gap between the production process and the distribution process. What that means is that what is produced on the farm, moving them from the farm is a challenge, and then distributing them. So you are looking at this gap that include the warehousing, storage system, you're looking at transportation, you're looking at also retailing as well. So all of these processes come together to make a supply chain. So the supply chain really has not improved, apart from the security issues that we have. And of course, the government, we believe that the government will be able to do something about that. But basically, the supply chain will have to improve. The process of bringing this farm produce from the farm, of course, to the market is something that we need to work on, which of course is being poorly maintained.
All right, now it's no longer news that the COVID-19 dealt a major blow on the economy globally, not just in Nigeria. So could this be one of the factors that affected or still affects the commonly traded food commodity?
Well, for us here, we have pandemic, of course. If you look at the year 2020, you will say that the pandemic dealt a blow when you talk about farming and all of that, it was an issue because people stopped going to farm for a very long time.
Yeah.
But we have other states that, okay, they were allowed, you know, to farm, especially those that were not states that were not affected by, you know, the security issues around the country at that time. Well, I remember Benue State was affected, apart from the COVID issue, was affected by, you know, the security issue. But basically, I think it's not even about the pandemic. The pandemic, of course, had its own, you know, impact as well. But I think overall, by and large, our production quota, or for what we consume, the percentage of what we consume here, we've not been able to meet up. And that's because of the challenges I cited earlier. Again, at the other side is that the borders were closed, and so they were not importing. And so, and if you look at the quantity of food that we produce for ourselves here, and which is not enough, so the best way to augment that shortfall, that deficit, is to import. But you remember that the policy of the Buhari administration to close the border came into play at that time. And so the borders, all the borders were shut. They were not bringing in food. And so the little that we have couldn't meet up with daily consumption. And so prices will have to go up. As, of course, the issue of the policy issue is also there, the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. But the monetary policy essentially had to do with the management of interest rates, setting the interest rate, and see how that goes, and then looking at all the macroeconomic indicators before they can set that interest rate. So all of these a combination of factors that have driven
northern Nigeria, where they produce food, Benue State, like you had mentioned, and some other parts of Nigeria. Those things put in place to make sure this happens. We've not heard anything from you. So what do you think played out in all of this?
I think essentially the policy worked to an extent. But when you look at it, I mean, what I would have thought as a business reporter, from that perspective, I was thinking the government was going to sit back and say, okay, let's review this policy after 6 months, after 1 year, where are we, what have we gained from these, and then look at how to augment for those shortfall or deficit within. But the government never thought of that. But I think they were thinking, I think this policy has come to say, let's see how it works. Until then, we have to leave it, I mean, at this level. But I think essentially for local farmers, especially from the north, it has worked for them. When you talk about rice, basically what we consume a lot of, rice and beans, staple food. We consume all of that. And these are some of the food items that commodities that will import from especially through the Benin border into the country. And so for those who are involved, or farmers who are into rice farming or staple food, it paid off for them, really. But essentially, when you look at the impact at the bottom line and the impact on the general economy, yes, would you say it has really improved economy or the condition in terms of food supply across the state of Nigeria? Has it really helped? No, it hasn't really helped. But essentially for farmers who are involved into farming all of these commodities, it has paid off for them. But I think there's time for review now.
Oh, I think this is a good place to say thank you for sharing your thoughts on this.
Thank you for having me, Margaret.
All right, and that was Frank Omalabe, our business correspondent. Still to come, Sweden to support household hit by high electricity surge with $664.45 million US. Details and more business news after this commercial break. Thanks for staying with us. And now in Africa Business News. Companies mining in Mali have not been far placed impacted by tough economic sanctions imposed on the country by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. This was made known by critical stakeholders who have assured investors their mines can withstand potential supply disruption. Mali is one of Africa's biggest gold producers, with mining contributing around 10% of its gross domestic product. Chief Executive Clive Johnson noted Canadian miner B2 Gold Fekola mine in Mali continues to operate normally and remains unaffected by the sanctions. The regional group imposed the sanctions in response to Mali's delay to planned elections following a 2020 military coup. And now on to foreign business news. The global economy faces a grim outlook. World Bank President David Malpass has warned as the aftershocks of the pandemic continue to weigh on growth, especially in poor countries. His organization's latest forecast predicts global growth will slow 4.1% this year from 5.5% in 2021. It attributed the slowdown to virus threats, government and unwinding, and the initial rebounding in demand fading. Malpass also noted big countries were especially vulnerable to economic damage from efforts to fight inflation. Coming up next is entertainment business, and Michelle Labanum is standing by.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Labanum. Despite divided reviews from audiences and critics, Wonder Woman 1984 was the most purchased film in 2021, earning $30 million in DVD and Blu-ray sales. After its simultaneous debut at the theaters and on HBO Max in December 2020, Wonder Woman 1984 spent the past year getting sold to more consumers than any other film's home media release. As reported by The Numbers, the DC EU sequel sold 1,427,830 units during the course of 2021 through Blu-rays and DVDs. This news comes as a surprise for DC fans and cinema enthusiasts, as Wonder Woman 1984 received average and harsh reviews from viewers and critics. It will be a cinematic delight to see where Gal Gadot and Jenkins take the story next, further flesh out Diana, Prince, and the DC EU. Moving on, tax credits of up to $2 million for film, television, and digital media productions drew support from senators on Monday as part of an effort to make Florida more attractive to the entertainment industry. But as in the past, the 9-to-1 vote by the Senate's Commerce and Tourism Committee came after opposition from the conservative group Americans for Prosperity Florida, which maintains the issue is corporate welfare. The proposal by Senator Joe Grutas, Sarasota, which creates the targeted high-wage reduction program, providing tax credits up to $2 million for the project that provides high returns on investment and economic beliefs to the state. Backers hope to make Florida more attractive than other states for productions. And that's it on Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Labanum.
Sports business is up next.
LinksDAO, the decentralized autonomous organization's founders, are creating a modern golf and leisure club through the sale of non-fungible tokens and the eventual purchase of an actual golf course. The organization's idea appears both popular and lucrative. In one day, LinksDAO sold about 9,000 membership non-fungible tokens worth a total of about $11 million. The non-fungible tokens allow for community access, governance, a wide variety of perks, and games in the near term, and are the key to membership at the future golf course. The company will reportedly use the funds to purchase the golf course. The group currently has a Discord channel to choose a golf course that the company hopes to purchase and open by early 2023. The channel has more than 12,000 members. And still talking sports business, the High Court in London ruled that Chinese broadcaster PPTV must pay the English Premier League at least $213 million following a nearly year-long rights battle. PPTV failed to pay 2 installments to the league last year, which resulted in the English Premier League terminating the 3-season deal worth roughly $650 million. The broadcaster attributed its missed payments to pandemic-related schedule changes. The deal, which would have been the Premier League's biggest overseas contract, only lasted 1 season. As part of the contract termination, money from the rights was passed down to the league's 20 clubs. Judge Peter Foster said that just because the unforeseen events may transpire does not mean the court will rewrite the parties' bargain and impose different terms. He therefore ordered 2 payments of $210 million and $2.6 million from PP Live Sports International, which is PPTV's parent company, along with legal costs and interest. Sonin purchased PPTV for $420 million in 2013. 3 years later, the company purchased the minority stake in Serie A's Inter Milan as part of a $307 million deal. Sonin reportedly posted $642 million in third-quarter net losses. And finally, on sports business at this hour, Bayern Munich were the only champions from Europe's top 8 leagues to make a profit in the 2020-2021 season as the coronavirus pandemic hit European football, a report has revealed. The KPMG Football Benchmarks European Champions report analyzed the finances of the champions of England, Spain, Germany, Italy, France, the Netherlands, Turkey, and Portugal. Bayern's 2020-2021 profit after tax was €1.8 million. Meanwhile, Premier League champions Manchester City were the only club to see their income increase in 2019-2020 to €111.7 million in 2020-2021. And that's it on sports business. I'm Samson Oledi.
And that's it on Business Now at this hour. For more stories, please visit our website, follow all our social media platforms, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and do well to tune in to Start Time Channel 143 for more news business. My name is Margaret Opera. Thanks for watching.